Hello, we're live for Beat the Banks. Give me a second while I get everything set up. It's our first stream of 2026. Happy New Year to all of you. Hopefully you were doing well. Hope you had a great New Year's. Hope you're safe. I am Professor Chris, DeFi professor. And, gosh, we have a little bit to talk about, but just to get my screen back, I was like, where am I? Okay. I think I see myself now. There we go. All right. Shout out to everybody. Hope everyone's well. So, if you've never watched this show before, this is a show about educating you about what's available to you as a user in today's economy with digital assets, right? It's called Beat the Banks. We've been around since January of 2022. I do have a company called, darn it. One second. Hit the wrong button. I mistook Loom for Stream Deck. I'm all like, I need to turn on my Stream Deck. It's been a day. It's been a day, guys. Okay, so there we go. Let me get this sharing my screen. So essentially the whole point of the title of the episode is How to Beat the Banks in 2026. Let's talk about that first. One of the big things that happened last year, if you caught our Total Value Locked podcast on Wednesday, let me get in the correct scene. I realize I'm not in the correct scene. There we go. There's been a lot of movement. It's kind of hard to believe that it's 2020, that it's been only a year. One thing we talked about on Wednesday's show at the 2025 recap with Robert from Talisman and Ken from Taushi is that it's kind of hard to believe that it's only been 11 months since the Trump meme coin launch. That kind of really just kind of reshaped everything, right? There's a lot of ramp up to the market because, President Trump was going to be elected. There was going to be a lot better pro-crypto, less Gary Gensler SEC whiplash against any project that was going to happen, was going to come to fruition here in DeFi in 2025. That turned out to be true. I mean, there were a lot of bets. Like Van Eck went live with an XRP and a Sol ETF to get approved. Still hasn't been approved, by the way. But it was all on the idea there's going to be better times ahead. And for the most part, it has been. I mean, we saw an all-time high in 2025. And I mentioned this on our previous call with our community a couple hours ago. 2020, from 2020 to 2024 was the disruption phase, right? We saw a lot of companies come down into decentralized finance, really just to test all the big ones. All the big ones. If you can name a fintech company, they were down here. And I'm talking Visa, I'm talking MasterCard, I'm talking Goldman, Microsoft, Google, any Meta, anybody and everybody has been in blockchains for the last 4 years trying to figure out how can they make it really good for them. There's a lot of blockchain applications, guys, that you probably don't realize. Groups like Walmart, Amazon, using blockchain specifically for things like third-party logistics, supply chain. Blockchain can be very efficient for that. So there's been a lot of movement on that front. But we specialize specifically in decentralized finance. So that's the idea of having digital assets or cryptocurrency that you can use to make it work for you. And for a lot of people, that's kind of how it started. They were wanting, especially with groups that we had that were outside the U.S., wanting to learn more about digital assets, about crypto, because they're in a situation where their local currency is devalued heavily against the US dollar. Places like Argentina and nations like that have fairly poor exchange rate against the dollar within a hyperinflationary period. Crypto was good because it provided anti-fragile, censorship resistant, anti-deplatforming abilities for people to hold assets of value that weren't going to be devalued like their current fiat currency. Now, of course, you still have to on-ramp it on-ramp. That's still going to be a problem moving forward. But in today's world, it's much different. 2025 moving forward, we went from the disruption phase in 2020 to 2024. Now 2025 and beyond is the integration phase. So all of the information that we've gotten in terms of using decentralized finance and blockchains and ecosystems and even now privacy blockchains, while still maintaining immutability, zero knowledge proofs, shielded transactions. These are all going to be part of how we're going to be doing business moving forward. I've always said that. DeFi is the future of finance. It's also the way that we're going to be doing business. Now that e-commerce is starting to move forward with things like X402, AI agents. Shopify has had Solana Pay as a payment method for years now. Base and Solana working together to create a newer way with USDC. We're seeing USDC and Circle becoming part of the mainstream conversation I would use in terms of fintech. PayPal also doing the legwork there. One thing that I wanted to note now, and that's going to be a big part of what I'll be doing in terms of my social media strategy. If you're a YouTube creator, you can be paid in PYUSD, which is PayPal USD. It is a stable coin. We've talked about stable coins here before. Feel free to go back through all of the old episodes if you want to learn a little bit more about stable coins. They're just digital assets whose asset value is pegged to the US, well, in most cases, the US dollar. There are other country stable coins like there's a digital euro, there's a digital yuan, digital yen. There's pretty much every country has a digital version of their currency. These are different than CBDCs. A CBDC is a central bank digital currency. We don't like those because that is the worst side of programmable money, to be honest. Not that can't happen with regular stablecoins, because they are programmable money to a degree. A lot of people will probably argue, don't you want money that you can hold? I'm like, well, yeah, but what do you do when that money that you hold isn't worth anything, right? It's all about what is money at this point. And that's a little bit of that's outside the scope of today's episode. But want to say hello to everybody in the chat out on Retake, on Den.show, on Blaze.stream, and the Abstract chat. Hello to you. Happy New Year to all of you. And the whole point about beating the banks now is really just going to the source. And that's how I'll frame this. Because in 2026, we're going to have a lot more institutions able to do DeFi things, right? Currently, Coinbase, Binance, Kraken, a lot of these places have the ability to give you things like loans and stuff like that. Like on Coinbase now, you can borrow up to $1 million against Bitcoin or something like that. What a lot of people don't know is that those loans are done in DeFi. So that's on the Coinbase level. That's at a CEX level, a centralized exchange. Your banks are going to start doing that as well. You're going to see better rates on banks, and if that's your thing, that's fine. You have the ability, however, with understanding the content of what we do here, to go and do this yourself and earn a better yield. Let me pull up PYUSD on PayPal. We'll start with that. So, I think for a lot of people, digital money is something that's hard to wrap your head around. I don't have my wallet here with me. It's in my sling. But oftentimes people equate money with things that they can hold in their hands, right? And that's fine. You can certainly feel... I'm looking to see if I have any dollar bills here. I don't. But everything is digital now. Everything's just ones and zeros, and then you can just go to an ATM and just get tangible, hard money printed to take with you. A lot of people like that idea, right? And there's nothing wrong with it. That's kind of how bartering in the original ways of paying for things with tender happened. But we're in a situation where that's changed. They've discontinued making pennies. Last year, this 2025 was the last year they're ever going to make another U.S. penny because of the cost. And you go places that, they want the exact cash. If you have it, they're not giving out change. I've seen all throughout last year, I saw a whole bunch of places. They're like, due to the national shortage on coins. I remember seeing a sign like that. I'm like, really? There's a shortage on coins? But these days, even me, I just go out and I just pay with my phone everywhere. Shout out to people who pay with phones. It's just become a lot easier to do it that way. Now, what's cool about PYUSD, and this is no different than anything else, is that you have the ability to send and receive their stablecoin back and forth. You can do this with anything like USDC, USDT, name your stablecoin. You can do that. What's nice is that you can do this within their app pretty easily between different checking accounts. You can pay for things to settle in PYUSD. That's the beautiful thing about it. Now I'm trying to figure out, there's a staking section. This is not it. With PYUSD, you can stake your PYUSD and earn 4%. Yeah, you can pay for things with PayPal USD. Where is it? There it is. You could earn. Okay, I have to sign in for that. Where is 3? Where's footnote number 3? Annual reward rate as of today. Rewards rate is subject to change. Okay. PYUSD is not legal tender. Interesting. Oh, the legalese of this all. Fun. At some point, especially as you get into places like, as you get into with companies like Revolut, for example, Let's see. Revolut is actually integrating with Polygon, right? And there are other crypto based or DeFi based cards that you can have. MetaMask has one. There's Cypher. Cypher is a huge one. Cypher's been around for a minute now. Cypher.io? Nope. It's not .com. Nope. CypherHQ.io. There we go. And Cypher actually powers a lot of cards that are out there specifically that settle this way. Now, MasterCard and Visa have joined the fray, so soon you'll be able to have that as well. But Cypher is kind of, I wouldn't say they're the little guy, but they're the decentralized guy, meaning you just have to have money on a blockchain, and there's 15 or so that they support, and you can load it with any non-custodial wallet. The hard part, and this is the part that's going to be the friction point for a lot of people, is understanding how you can actually on-ramp and off-ramp using these platforms. That still remains to be seen. Now, PayPal has that ability where you can buy and sell with PayPal. You can use it with non-custodial wallets. Self-custodial wallets like MetaMask, Ledger, Phantom. Why is Exodus there? But things like that. And we've had Robert from Talisman Wallet, who's been on our show. He's been bankless for the last now 5 years. So we're in a situation where now you can, especially if you're a digital nomad or you're aspiring to be a digital nomad, you can be in a situation where you can actually carry your money with you in a self-custodied manner. And I think that's actually quite important because that's what people are going to want. So. Where is the rest of my screen? There we go. Why is my screen not changed? Odd. Huh. Let me try that again. There. That's weird. Anyway, I talked about Revolut. I went all the way up and down PayPal's site, and it wasn't moving on the screen. And then you have things like Aave. Aave is by far, in terms of decentralized finance, which is what this world entails, it's the largest financial. It's hard to say they're an institution, but I guess you could say it's an institution. Aave.com has been the cornerstone of decentralized finance for years now. Now they have an app that's coming out, and the reason why this is going to be is going to be of interest to people is they're going to offer a 9% rate for pretty much for the lulz, right, for the marketing of this, and they're going to offer $1 million in balance protection. We've talked about this multiple times. The FDIC is just $250 on most accounts. So Aave is going to give you up to $1 million. Now, should you put all your money into this? No. Again, if you are a younger person or someone who is looking to build wealth, not great with money, you should still have a fairly diversified portfolio. You shouldn't be 100% or what we call tits long into crypto. That's not the right way to go about it. You should have, crypto is probably the best performing of everything you'll have, and then stocks or equities, if you're into bonds, and then real estate can be pretty good, and then any other type of passive income that you have out there. Passive income businesses like vending machines and popcorn carts and windmill farms and stuff like that. That can all be, things that can be part of your portfolio. But overall, DeFi will be probably the best risk-adjusted return that you'll be able to find. Again, they'll offer roughly between 6 and 10%. Our friends at Axel are definitely doing this and talking more about it. Now, they can get you more than that, but that's what they're starting out with, specifically on savings. There are multiple companies like this that they're being branded as neobanks that can do this as well. And I'm saying all this because the regulation is finally in place where these things can work well. The Genius Act has offered this. There's a couple things about the Genius Act that are important to note. The first thing is it has to be a tech. It can be anyone but a tech company. So you're not going to see someone like Amazon here or a couple other big tech companies like Nvidia. They're not going to be able to issue stablecoins, but they can work with groups that do. The best one I think is probably Paxos. Let me go to the Global Dollar Consortium. There we go. The Global Dollar Network. And USDG is another stablecoin you'll probably hear about. And they have a full network of groups that work with them. Anchorage Digital is one. I don't think I see Anchorage. There it is, Anchorage. Anchorage is interesting because they're in the Biden administration. They were the only company, well, the only institution that had a money license in all 50 states during the Biden era, during when Gensler was, had his reign of terror, trying to take down anything that was DeFi. Now they have all of these companies that are a part of the USDG consortium. Why did they do this? Well, the first reason is because of Tether. I think Tether claimed Q4 they made 8.8 billion after 7.9 billion in Q3, which is the main reason that institutions wanted their piece of this pie. They wanted to come down and get those types of profits. Tether has less than 30 people working in their organization. They're one of the most profitable companies in the universe at this point. To make as much as they do with all of the assets they have with so few people is staggering, to be quite honest. They only share it with themselves, right? Whereas with Paxos and USDG, that everyone who uses USDG will get a piece of the pie. So this won't be on the same level as Tether, but at least they're getting a piece of it now. Now, there's a lot of decentralized and DeFi teams here. You're not going to see, I don't think you'll see like a JP Morgan. Yeah, there's not a JP Morgan, but there's a Robinhood. There's a Swissborg. And there's a WorldPay. Let's see, who else? Any real big fintech names here? Galaxy. Bullish. Anchorage. I think that's it. But there's a lot of names here that are global. So there's plenty of members in here. There is the other thing about the Genius Act is that anything that is proposed cannot be yield bearing. So they've gotten around that by using the word rewards. I don't know how that's different, to be honest, but they're calling it rewards. It's not yield, it's rewards. And that's how Coinbase has framed it. That's how Binance has framed it. That's how everybody who's able to transact in the United States is framing it. Ripple as well. But the environment is much bigger now. You've got RWAs coming on with treasury bills. Genius Act requires that anyone who's an issuer has to provide monthly attestation and have one-to-one backed reserves. All of these guys, Circle, Paxos, Tether, have that available. Tether has it in a US version called USAT. But they're going to be compliant, and because of this, institutions are coming on board. Big banks. They're all working together. They all already have they have blockchains they've been working on for years. One's called Canton Network. It's been around for years, where they've been testing blockchain technology with what they're doing in finance. It's ready. It has been ready. So this year will be the year where we'll see a lot of institutions start to do this. Now, what does that mean for you as a customer? That means that at most of these big institutional banks, JP Morgan, well, that's really just for institutional enterprise clients right now with Connexus. But soon, you'll be able to see rates with better, most likely rates with better rates, savings accounts with better rates, mainly because the way that a lot of these things work is that they take your money and then they put them into God knows what, right? The moment you deposit $100 into your bank account, $90 of it, 90% of it is taken and put into the system. Rehypothecated is the word, into a bunch of different already established dark pool machines that you don't know anything about. DeFi, frankly, is not much different, but at least you have transparency to know exactly where all that money is going in the majority of cases, right? Athena, oh, it's .fi. Athena, which is the third largest stablecoin now, they have a section called transparency. And I can't see, I don't have my VPN on, but they'll show you exactly all the strategies that it's being used for. Another example is if we go somewhere like, let's do Euler. You'll see a lot of places have this section called exposure. I don't want to. Yeah, let's go with the Euler Arbitrum yield for SUSDC. Rate's a little low, but you can see exactly where it's being used as collateral and other things. Oh, we'll use Morpho. It's just a better, let's just use neutral. Let me figure out. Maybe this isn't the best one either, because we're doing a lot of arbitrage here. Camino. And this is on Solana, just like neutral is. Well, they're everywhere, but specifically. So this is Centaurus PYUSD Vault, nearly 10%. And it's been, if the rate's actually been above 12 at some points, but it's between 9 and 15% most of the year. It's not going to allow me to show more info. There we go. Oh, that's not it. There we go. And here's your allocation breakdown. So it's used in a bunch of other main market reserve liquidity plays. And that's how that works. You get a piece of that transaction method, right? Whereas if you go to a bank, they take your money, the 90%, they rehypothecate it, they make 6% roughly, 4 to 6%, and they give you pennies, right? You could put $2,000 in the bank and you make maybe a penny every month in terms of dividends, where they keep all of that. Here in DeFi, you can be the bank, and that's why it's called Beat the Banks, right? That's the main reason why it matters. So I think a lot of what we're going to see in 2026 is more of this kind of thing. What is wrong with my screen share? It's not moving. It's weird. It's annoying is what it is. Here we go. Strange. Anyway, we're going to see more banks offering And it's not going to be 9%, by the way, guys, just as a heads up. You're still going to see the best rates in decentralized finance because that's essentially what FinTech Evolved is going to be. It's all going to base off of strategies here that institutions will be doing and then taking most of that money for themselves and giving a little bit back, a little bit better, like instead of 0.025%, like at my credit union, where I need to put in $500,000 to get 0.5%. Maybe I'll get 1%, 1.25%. My gosh. Could you imagine? Doesn't have to be that way, guys, is all I'm saying. Doesn't have to be that way. So, one thing I talked about today as well. What are going to be the big things that people are going to be talking about? Well, for me, overall, I'm an infrastructure guy. I love playing infrastructure plays. To me, I think that's where the money is going to be. It always is going to be, because you want to be on the technology that everyone is building and adjacent things outside of that, right? So there's a couple of big industries I think they're going to benefit this year from the integration piece. RWAs is going to be probably the biggest. Real world assets, right? So we're talking about anything that's an asset based off of T-bills. I'm also going to throw anything that's tokenized in terms of like stocks. Those are all real world assets. I'm going to even throw in prediction markets as part of RWAs. Why? Because Kalshi and Polymarket have now found technology to tokenize every event that's going on their platform. For example, if I go to Kalshi.com, do we have anything on the... Okay, so New York Rangers versus Florida Panthers. This is now a tokenized event pool. That may mean nothing to you as a user, but as a native crypto DeFi person, I know that I can actually go out, if as a builder even, and build things off of this. Now, this is timed, but in the event that something was not as timed, let's say like Super Bowl champion, right? Golden Globes even. These are all going to be things that are going to be used as first-class token citizens in ecosystems, specifically in Solana for Kalshi. But Polymarket will have something in EVM. So, while these are going to be interestingly hard examples to consider, politics, I think, could possibly benefit a lot from something like this. Regardless, I mean, the fact that we're seeing money into this is interesting, right? There's already, now we're still a little bit from, was November? There's already almost $2.6 million in this pool just for the house race. They're raising some real money here. And you can play these things with regards to, what are we doing here? Oh, they don't have them here. Smart. But there's a lot of people building arbitrage bots and stuff like this for Polymarket and Kalshi. Now, I'm not going to go into that. That's outside the scope of this. But there's a lot of ways to make money in DeFi. This is frankly one of them. Is this technically DeFi? Yes, because it's tokenized now. And that's the part I think is the most interesting, is what if they can tokenize event outcomes, what's next? I mean, we have tokenized stocks coming. They've been testing QQQ and ES Mini on Hyperliquid now for 6 months. The fun part, I think, is when we get to a point where you'll be able to have dividend stocks that you can redeem in kind. Like, imagine if you had a tokenized version, let's say, of the Aristocratic 25, right? If you're not familiar with these, the Dividend Aristocrats, They are a group of companies. They had to have been in business for more than 10 years. And they have to have been giving dividends for more than 20, right? There's more. There's a list of 25, more than 25. But yeah, AbbVie is one for sure. Walmart is one. PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, Walgreens. There's a couple that are out there that have been giving dividends every quarter. And, because I have a dividend portfolio, I've been building it for years. To be able to have that in crypto, so I actually can redeem that and hold it in a self-custodied way, is very appealing to me. Especially because I am aspiring to nomad. I want to bring my family across the world to a lot of these countries to learn more about different cultures and being in a situation where you can have remote work visas. Like I think there's the tax holiday in Thailand or Vietnam, one of the two, for 5 years, starting January 1st of last year of 2025. So until 2029, on December 31st, you have a crypto tax holiday. I think it's in Thailand. These are all things you should take advantage of, right? So there's a lot of things that are happening in the next 12 months that are going to be very interesting in terms of digital assets and finance. And these are things that you should be taking advantage of. If you haven't already, please consider doing so. I will shout out our education company, Beacon. Gosh, what is going on with this screen? Very strange. In any case, school.com/beacon. For some reason, I don't have my caption here, but I'll put it here. School.com/beacon. I'm in the wrong scene. I need to fix this. But check it out. Free content. Learn more about what we do. Join the many, many, many who have joined us. But yeah, there's a lot of movement on the bank front, I think, right now, specifically. Let me see if there's something specifically that I was looking at. Let's go to DeFi Llama. Pepe looking at a rally. Interesting. Not a whole lot on banks lately, but they're moving to do things. You're gonna see more stablecoin movement, especially now that PayPal is offering that to users. They're making it easier than ever to use USDC to pay for things. Thanks to MasterCard, thanks to Visa. That's MasterCard Move. It'll allow anyone who's a merchant or a user to transact in USDC. To also settle in USDC with regards to merchants, you can either get paid in cash or USDC. That's going to be huge moving forward. I had some really good conversations with MasterCard in New York last year at this point. And there's a lot of things that they're working on that I think are going to be very interesting moving forward. Visa actually has a full advisory practice where they're going to be working with companies through their Visa Consulting Analytics company, because we're in a situation where the stablecoin market cap is going to exceed, what's it, 300 million right now, if I'm not mistaken. Where's DeFi Llama? $307 billion now for the stablecoin market cap. Let me make this bigger so you can see it. It's already 133%, but 307 billion. This needs to rise. But DEX to SEX dominance. So at one point this was even, if not more, in the DEX favor. CEXs know that DeFi is going to change the game. Things like Aster, things like Hyperliquid, things like Lighter, Ostium, Variational, even things like from BitTensor like OX Markets and other perp dexes that are out there, Avantis, Drift. It's going to be easier to get on chain and trade. It's going to be more fun that way, honestly, because they're pushing to really bring it to the phone. And it's going to be, we're going to see more movement in mobile in 2026, in my opinion. We're going to see a lot more wallet activity. We've already seen a wallet meta come through. It just wasn't the wallet meta we were thinking of, because we saw Stripe acquire Privy, and then Google, I think, got Dynamic. One of the two. Fireblocks. And it makes it easier than ever to create a wallet, whether through an email, a social login. There's a variety of ways. And it's all going to be done mobile first, like our friends at Axel. Mobile first. We're going to see more of this stuff. Aave's app, mobile first. We're going to see more people getting these in the palm of their hands. And the idea is, what can we do? What can I do as an educator to help get as many people educated on having good financial literacy when it comes to digital assets? Because look at this. See this number right here? God, what is, I'm so annoyed with this. Sorry, guys. Where is my screen? I don't know why my screen keeps stopping. There we go. See this number right here? It's hard to, you can't see my cursor anymore, but right here where it says add money from bank account, 12,000 banks, that is Swift in action. That is Swift working with Linea blockchain, which is an EVM layer 2 with zero knowledge proofs from Consensus, working with Chainlink, one of the largest off-chain Oracle protocols that are in the industry. So now it's going to be easier than ever to onboard your money into these protocols, and off-ramp too. You can also just bring it to a debit card. You can go bankless, get Revolut, get some of these other banks that are available. Neobanks that'll be available soon. You don't have to tie up your money in really shitty bank rates anymore, is basically my point. You didn't have to for years. It was just harder to get to if you wanted to come down into DeFi. Now they're removing most of those barriers. So 2026 is going to be a very interesting year to see exactly how people are going to be able to move money from their phone, from their bank account, from their credit card even, into an on-chain entity. And it's something I think you should definitely give it a try. Obviously, when we talk about stuff like this and you're getting started, I don't like it when people come and try and yoink 10 grand into here, right? That doesn't make any sense to me. If you're first starting out and you want to get up to 9%, obviously it's a great rate. Get 10%, 9% on 10 grand. That's great, right? I would say start off with $25, $50 tops, because you want to, there's a learning curve to this. And while it's infinitely easier today than what it was 12 months ago, there's still a learning curve for certain other things. Now, if you just want to use this as another way to just hold on to some money, that's great. Do that. There's more to it, though. There's more than a dozen different mechanisms that you can play with in DeFi to earn yield. And, we're obviously I'm happy to help show you how that works. But give it a try. I know I've beat on this drum for years. We've been doing Beat the Bank since January of 2022, guys. We've been doing this show forever. If you know anybody that is looking to get into this, they want to learn more about how they can save their US dollar from losing 50% year over year from inflation. I was talking to someone over Christmas, and they were excited about how they had all this money in their 401k. And I'm like, don't rely on that. In fact, 401s took a pretty bad beating for a little bit, right? You got to have diversified ways to grow wealth and save money and get more passive income. So that's all I had for today, guys. Hopefully you found great value in this. We do this again, like I said, every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. And please, feel free to follow on socials. Follow me. At C. Soriano. Would love to. I have quite a few articles, actually, that I would love for you to check into if you are brand new to this space and want to learn a little bit more. It's at C. Soriano. Just go to articles. And then you can learn a little bit more about different things, and we'll talk more about these things moving forward. So with that said, take care. Happy New Year. Keep beating those banks, and we'll see you next week. Stay here, 07, beacons up, banks down. Keep beating those banks, guys. Take care. Have a great weekend. See you later.